I got a chance to check out the new Modcap series of products from Alucab at the Overland Expo West 2024. And what's new with these new tops is that they are modular, so you can switch out to any variation from one to another if you outgrow your setup or if you just want to switch it up.
This is the contour or the Modcap base. I forget exactly what they're calling it. And this is just, there's no sort of a pop-up whatsoever. This is just a very basic setup. So if you wanted to start small, you could start with this, and then you can add one of the tent options on later. But I have to admit, in the photos, I didn't think this looked very good. It actually looks really cool on this Gladiator.
This is one of Alucab's latest and greatest, and this is the Modcap Family. This top can fit 4 to 5 people sleeping comfortably, and I'm going to jump into it here in a second, but at the end of this video, I will do a demonstration of how it's set up and put back down. But please note that this is a prototype and they're still working out some of the kinks.
Okay, so I do not have Natalia here to hold the camera for me, so today I'm kind of doing things different through like a point of view type of thing, but I'm over here at Alucab and I'm going to go through this new family version of the Modcap, which this is still a prototype, so they might change some of this as far as how this section of the bed is held up. But the big thing with this particular camper is how large it is. This thing could, I heard people saying yesterday, you could probably sleep 5 people in here. And I think that's pretty accurate because with the canopy camper, you're laying from front to rear. And in this one, it's more designed to be from side to side. So let me flip this around. And so as you guys can see, you have the space basically of the Alucab tents from here to here. So as you're standing inside of these things, this is always going to be set up. So you always have this front bed section. As you can see out front, they have a Starlink because that is the roof rack right there. And this, kind of like the new Type 3, the rooftop tents, the Type R, it's got the vent attachments over here, or the pass through for like an AC or a heater or something, which is pretty cool because if you don't want to build a heater into your truck, like some people do, you could also do like a portable diesel heater and put it on the roof rack over there. You'd want to run your exhaust away and stuff, but it's a very short section of hose. So whenever you're running heat up to your tent from the ground, usually you're losing a lot of the heat through the ducting. With this, you could have like 2 or 3 feet of ducting and you're heating it without having to drill any holes into your tent. So that's pretty cool. And then the other big thing, of course, that has already been touched on is that these new tops on the Modcap, this can be replaced. So if it's just you and your wife or something like that, and you have the canopy camper now, or the Modcap camper, if you decide later on, or you guys have kids or you have dogs or something, you need more space, you can swap out just the top for this. So all of the sealing process for sealing your canopy camper, your Modcap camper to the bed, all of that process, you don't have to go through the labor again. And so it's kind of a well thought out system as far as just replacing the top. So you can have, at this point, you can have the regular, it's kind of like the contour to where it's just a shell and it's not a pop-up of any sort. Then you have the Modcap camper, which is more like the traditional Alucab canopy camper. And now you can have the Modcap Family, which is this one. And again, these will all fit mid-size, full-size, and the tops on them are the same thing. So even, I guess, if you wanted to, if you're moving from a mid-size truck to a full-size truck, you could save some money on even taking this and putting it on your new full-size truck, the lower portion of that. So it's pretty well thought out. Alucab tends to be more innovative with these types of designs, as we've all seen with like the canopy camper and the tents and stuff. Not that those didn't exist necessarily, but to the degree and to the durability and stuff. So it'll be interesting because there's going to be a lot more of this kind of stuff popping up. So something they did say, and I'll explain this a little more outside too, is that right now it has straps on the outside for this door, but it will have poles is what it's sounding like. Again, this is early prototype. These should be available for sale from what I understand by the end of the year, but they're just working on it right now. So, but it is cool because once it's set up, you have this space, you have that space, but I don't know if you'd want to lay on this side when it's open. I don't see why not, but I guess that's a question for them. So we got our water tank here. There's a little bit more of an overhang than you would see in the traditional canopy camper, or the Modcap camper as they're now calling it. But you have 2 panels here, and this will be the same in the mid-size because the tops of these are the same. So there's kind of an interesting panel up here that is it's kind of like a sectioned off bar. But see if I can explain this. My lens isn't quite wide enough, but you pull this down and I'm standing right here. So now you have enough room where you could probably lay 2 to 3 people width-wise. I could probably lay my feet at 6'1" at that window and have my head right here, and I still have tons of room here. And that section also comes down and has a mattress as well. So this thing has an insane amount of space. And then for the first time ever, an alu-cab has, is that as high as it goes? I think this goes up higher, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. But so as far as alu-cab, this is the first time that they will have a skylight in one of these, which looks like it fully opens up. Oh yeah, so this is zippered, and then it's kind of like a traditional rooftop tent that has that. It'll have the clear plastic section over it, and then and so it's kind of like a double weatherproof thing. The thing for me is, while this looks incredible for space, there's always going to be a trade-off. I'm sure this will be lined with the quilting when it's all said and done. I'm not sure about that, but I would imagine. But you're not going to get as much of the weather being deflected by the aluminum. You've only got the side of it now, so a lot more of it is going to be done by the material. So you're going to have more rain noise, and in wind, this will not do quite as good. So the advantage of having the traditional canopy camper in the wind, as you guys have seen in some of my videos, is you can point the wedge into the wind and the wind will ramp over you. This would be harder because now you have to put the broad side of the camper away from you, and it's just more of a wall. It's more upright. So so there's going to be more wind noise with this.
Something to note is that all of the accessories for the canopy camper and cabin have been updated and will work with the Modcap series. Next in the lineup is the roof for the Ineos Grenadier. And this is one that I am personally excited about. It's cool to see this kind of stuff in the United States. I didn't ask how much this kit will be, but I would assume pricing will be similar to the other camper options plus installation.
Not sure what size tank they put in here. That looks custom. I would not be surprised if this is GP factor. Not sure though. So your roof line cuts right here. So you maintain all your switches in the Grenadier, which is pretty cool. So it's very similar to the canopy campers. And so now it's obviously cut the roof off. And there's a prototype, so there's no roof on it yet, the quilting. But it's actually a fair bit of space. It's kind of nice because compared to a traditional canopy camper, you can get to stuff from over there. You can open that door and have your fridge slide out. As I'd mentioned in my previous video, from my particular use, it wouldn't work that great because everything you build up there, and you wouldn't want to build it up there to keep your weight right, the dog would be able to be up front whenever we're driving. I feel like she'd get car sick. And so for me, that's a major factor. You'd have to be pretty careful on how you plan stuff out because all of your electronics right there are underneath everything you'd be building. So you'd have to be kind of careful with that and plan it accordingly to where you can pull that stuff out if you really needed to. But the benefit here is being able to get to the front seats in the event of some sort of an emergency, or if you're in a shady area, you can pull the top down and at least get it down, I assume, jump in the front seat and drive away. So that's pretty cool.
Next is the mid-size Modcap camper on a 5-foot bed. This model doesn't seem to have changed all that much from the original canopy camper, aside from a slightly new look with all of its smooth sides, and it does now have window options from Alucab, which will be a huge improvement for a lot of people. I can't say personally, but I did hear several people at the show mentioning the side doors feel lighter than on their classic canopy camper.
Okay, so this is the new Modcap camper, which is very similar to what the canopy camper was before. Pretty much nothing's really changed. As far as the electrical system goes, this is the new one from GP Factor. This is a much less expensive option that they're going to be offering, and it obviously fits in, and it's just flush with the wall now versus the Red Arc Manager 30 system kind of protruded from the wall. And this is more simple because they put a 40 amp charger up here, and these ones are designed to where they can't get wet like the other systems can, but in a camper like this you really don't need it to. And then this has the entire switch panel built in, and then all of your access ports so you can get to more 12 volt right here, and then a little clear window for your fuses there, which is pretty brilliant. And then this one does have, this is the Tiny Rig Company canopy camper, and it's got the fireplace here, and then he has his goose gear that I believe he already had in this system. They just swapped out the canopy camper for the Modcap. So for anybody that's not familiar with these, you have this little area here, and so somebody could sit on there if they wanted to. A lot of people leave that open when they sleep for heat, and then when you pull down this other door, this is basically this whole section is the length of the tent itself, the Gen 3. So whenever you jump into the Alucab canopy campers, you gain, like, I believe this is 18 inches if I remember correctly. So you gain a little bit of space. Obviously these are micro campers, but for our kind of travel, these are about ideal. So on the back of this system, this is the new cupboard, which they are saying probably isn't ideal for use with a 35-inch tire, which this does have, just because of the excess weight. This weighs about 38 pounds. And so this just opens up and you can store pretty much everything in here. You can have a whole cook kit, and then it still has the drop-down table option, which I don't know if this is GP factor or not, but this is pretty cool. So you can have access to all of this. I think this is a GP factor table here. And so that's just some new stuff from Alucab, and you can trick this out and put whatever in there that you want. It's not very deep, but I feel like it's just deep enough. This is a very cool new piece of the Modcap series of campers. So part of my assumption before was that these panels are now removable. If you guys saw my post on that, this is not removable. I was kind of hoping it would be, for the sake of if you install in these fireplaces and later decide you don't want it. So it is still the same situation. So if you drill a hole for the fireplace, then you're kind of stuck with it. And I have seen that there's mixed reviews on these fireplaces, because depending on the climate you're in, it may be enough, and in some situations it's not. But I think they are coming out with something soon that will help make this more efficient. So more on that in the future. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it or not.
Okay, so myself and Rob from Revere Overland asked if they would close this and open it up so we could see the process. And again, I have to say that this is a prototype and things could still change. This was shipped over and installed right before the show, and they've only set it up a couple of times. No matter what changes and improvements they make though, I wouldn't expect it to be as fast and simple as the Wedge campers. There's always going to be a trade-off for this much space in such a small package.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to talk about that your biggest dad, or is it Alaska Overland?
I'm not sponsored by Alucab. I've just been a genuine fan for a long time, and I nerd out on this kind of stuff. I didn't have somebody to hold the camera for me at this event like I normally do, but I will for Overland Expo Pacific Northwest. If you have questions about these new products, drop them in the comments section, and if I get enough questions, I'll do a more in-depth video at the next show. As always, thank you so much for watching, and click one of the videos in the corner to check out more of our adventure, off-road, and overland related content.